I could identify all the languages that I would always have somebody to practice with, and then put these other languages that I won't have many people to practice with on the internet off for another time, time in the future when maybe there will be someone to practice with, or a time when I'll be able to just travel to the country and live there for a while, if that ever happens. So I made this list. I went on to Shared Talk for, let's see, 5 days, not necessarily in a row, but just 5 days. And this is in the morning. I took a kind of a little survey of all the languages on Shared Talk that there were a lot of people there to speak with, and to my surprise, there were some languages that I didn't really think of that there were always people there to practice with. And so I made a new list of languages, and I in this Excel sheet I put I made a little statistic out of I first recorded how many people were online that spoke that language, and I put I wrote down the number of how many people that day, and then after 5 days, I did a total of 5 days. I added them up and divided it by 5 to make a kind of little statistic. And some of these languages had a total of an average of 10 people every day that spoke the language, and all of these languages that you see here are languages that there was on average at least one person, and it ranged from 1 to maybe 10 people every day. And I could also identify what languages there was maybe on average one half of a person per day that I could probably find, etc. So I identified all the languages that there was at least one person on every day, and coincidentally there was also exactly 20, but not all the same languages that I initially intended to learn. And so I thought, maybe I can put these languages, the ones I put a star by are the ones that I won't really be able to necessarily find someone on Shared Talk to practice with. Maybe I could put these more rare languages I wanted to learn off for a future time. Or maybe if I really want to read, the Bible or something in Greek or Hebrew, I could just come to an intermediate level in just, the written language so I can read it. But other than that, I figured maybe in the near future I could just change all those plans and study these ones where I will actually have someone to practice with. And I'm kind of excited about some of these because these are languages I wasn't going to learn but will probably, and these are languages that I'll be able to gain fluency in maybe within 3 months if I do everything that I need to in order to achieve that. And anyways, let's go through the language real quick. I put the ones that I put the new ones in red, the ones that are on the new list that I have people to speak with that were on the old list. So first there's Arabic, Arabic. There's always a lot of people on that speak Arabic, different dialects, but a lot of times Egyptian, but I guess it doesn't really matter. But there's normally Egyptian people, there's normally Moroccan people also. So just depending on what dialect I want to learn, there would normally be someone for that dialect because there's so many people on that spoke Arabic every day. The next one is Tashelhit. Tashelhit is a Berber language spoken in Morocco. And this is a language that I had kind of heard of before. On Shared Talk it just said Berber, and I knew there was a lot of different Berber languages, and so I went and asked each of them which language they speak. And because there are different languages such as Taqbaylit. Well, the Taqbaylit, that's spoken in Algeria, but then you got Tashelhit, like I have here. You got Tamazight and some other languages. But so I asked them which one they speak, and they said Tashelhit. And I happen to have a PDF file written by the Peace Corps for learning Tashelhit. So sometime in the near future, I'd like to go through that, get all the resources I can, and practice with these people, and maybe I could even become fluent in this rare language, Dashalhit, just because I can, because there's people to practice with. Next one is Guangdonghua, Cantonese. And there are a lot of people that speak Cantonese. I'd probably rather master Mandarin before I start doing Cantonese, because it would just be that much easier once I have Mandarin down. Here you got Putonghua, that's Mandarin. Francais, French, Dutch, German, Hindi, Bahasa Indonesia. And yeah, I noticed that there really weren't very many people on ShareTalk that spoke Tagalog, but I figured maybe I'll just change the language that represents the Austronesian languages to Bahasa Indonesian, and that would work just fine. And let's see, Italiano, Italian, Nihongo, Japanese, Hanguga, Korean, Farsi, Persian, Polski. Now, on the other list I had Russian to represent the Slavic languages, but Polski, Polish, that would be cool to also be able to speak Polish. So I might do that one in the near future. Portuguese, Portuguese, and then you got Ruski, Russian, Espanol, Spanish, Pasatai, Thai, Turkche, Turkish, Ukrainska. And I wasn't really going to study Ukrainian because it's so similar to Russian, and I figured I could just kind of pick it up sometime in the future, but I might as well now, since there are plenty of people to practice with. And then you got Ding Viet, that's Vietnamese, and that one would be cool too. Anyways, these are my long-term goals, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do now. The plan originally was to just kind of study these in order, not necessarily for 3 months, because I got to French and I started learning French, and I thought, I really don't need to do this for 3 months, because I was pretty good already, and just had to brush it up a little before it was at an a basic fluent level, which is my goal for now, to get all of these in a basic fluent level. But I probably won't do it in order. I'll probably just go through languages however I want at the time. But the goal will be for each study session to gain basic fluency within 3 months in whatever one I happen to be studying. Right now I'm studying Finnish. I will probably study German next, and then maybe I'll even jump into something like Dashalhit. But we'll see. Or maybe Ukrainian. That would be cool too. Or any of these. They're all cool. But anyways, that's my long-term goals. And I hope this wasn't too boring for you. But if you like languages, it was probably pretty interesting. But I'd also like to hear from you other language learners. What kind of long-term goals do you have? Where do you want to go with your study of languages? Anyways, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.